Hundreds of thousands of people are under an evacuation order in LA, and entire neighborhoods have been lost, with several out-of-control wildfires raging. To get a sense of what it's like on the ground and advice for Canadians, we're joined by Zaib Shaikh, Consul General of Canada in Los Angeles. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks so much, Faiza. Hello to all the Canadians.
And I should add, your office is located in downtown LA. And, we've been seeing these images of the wildfires, the aftermath in those regions that have been affected, some describing this as apocalyptic. And it's difficult to really digest. But you're there on the ground. I'm wondering, what have you been seeing?
Well, I'll be honest, it's difficult to digest on the ground as well. It's absolutely dire. It's absolutely catastrophic. It is definitely the largest disaster LA has faced in terms of fires. They're the most destructive ever. That's what people are saying. That's what all experts are talking about. These are emergency response experts. It's not just hyperbole, or it's not just script writers talking about this, or Hollywood. This is what's happening. Hundreds of thousands, as you probably reported, have had to evacuate. Tens of thousands of buildings, structures destroyed. At least 10 have died, and we're just in the middle of it right now. And we're not even, this is in many ways nowhere near the end. We hope with the weather changing, and we hope with the amazing first responders and firefighters and all the equipment, including the many that Canada and the provinces have sent and are ready to send. We hope that we can, get a handle on this. But right now, containment is an issue, and fires and even, unfortunately, instances of arson are not helping. And so I hope I can report back, and our team can and be off their emergency responsive preparedness posture, as we call it here. But right now, we are definitely in emergency response mode.
As you're speaking, we are seeing images of the wildfires here, the smoke billowing, and just what first responders are really up against here. You touched on something important here, saying that these fires have yet to be contained. We're seeing neighborhoods completely devastated. So based on Global Affairs, figures from Global Affairs, we know that a little over 4,400 Canadians are registered to be living in California. This is an emergency situation that hits close to yourself and your team as well. What are you hearing from Canadians who've been impacted by these recent events?
I mean, clear devastation and tragic stories, Faiza. That's the unfortunate part. No Canadian that I've heard from has said, oh, things are okay. Everyone is either losing their home, they've witnessed the loss of their home in front of them in many cases, or they've had to evacuate and see it from afar on news that their neighborhood has been destroyed, or they are seeing their property, up in smoke, literally. Ash is raining down on people. They can't breathe. They can't get anywhere. Their friends' homes are destroyed. Their families' homes are destroyed. They've had to leave. They're calling us because their passports, of course, are destroyed, and our team is dealing with that. Our team members themselves have had to evacuate. We have team members who are displaced. At least one team member's home may be lost. So we're dealing with this not only from a team perspective. Of course, we have Canadians working here, but we have our Americans who work for the Canadian government. So, they've been who've been born Angelenos or Californians who are seeing their family homes destroyed. So we're dealing with quite a bit in terms of that emergency response and preparedness. But of course, our team is dealing with it, and everyone, all the Canadians that speak to us are really feeling it, and we're doing our best to help them. Our business continuity remains. The consulate is open every day. We are an essential service. We continue to provide that from a consular perspective and an immigration perspective. And of course, even our other teams. We have about 50 people working here at the consulate. It's the third largest mission represented in the U.S. after Washington and New York. And so, we are the de facto embassy on the West Coast for folks. And so we are operating as such and continue to operate as such. But in terms of what we're hearing from Canadians, it is sad. It is tragic, it is dire. And as you said, there's only actually 5,000 registered, but we know there's so many more Canadians that live, work, and visit up to upwards of 100,000 on an annual basis. So there's many more than even have registered. And so I encourage the Canadians, if they're listening to this and if they can hear this story wherever they are, that if you're going to be abroad, please register for the registration of Canadians abroad. Go to travel.gc.ca and you'll be able to sign up, because the more we know that you're out there and the more that you're connected directly with us, the better information we can get you, the soonest we can get it to you, because we're needing to talk to everybody as much as possible.
Consul General, as you're speaking to, we also have the phone numbers up for emergency contacts for any Canadians who've been impacted by the wildfires, and advice for those Canadians of what to do in those situations here. I also want to get your thoughts on, LA is a sunny destination, quite popular with many Canadians who are looking to visit. What is your advice to those who perhaps are supposed to travel there in the coming days? Should they cancel their trips?
In the best, for the best sense for the emergency response teams to be able to do what they have to do, I would limit travel. Absolutely. That is definitely our guidance. If you haven't, if you're not already here, because frankly, there are people here who are displaced from the places, and there are hotels that are needing to accommodate residences who've been displaced. And so if we we are a very global traveling kind of country. Our citizenry loves to travel, as you mentioned, because of weather and other things, especially as the new year starts. But I would just caution you all to come in here. Please just know that everyone is working really hard. We're hoping to get through this. We will get through this, of course, but it will take time. And so if you had travel plans, please put them on pause. There are, I'm sure, other destinations you can go to that will still serve your purposes. But here, the folks are really focused on one thing and one thing only, which is to contain these fires, which have not yet been contained, and to ensure that those who are displaced and evacuate get some semblance of home soon, because right now that is something that is not guaranteed, unfortunately.
Okay, lots of devastation happening in LA here, impacting Canadians. Zaib Shaikh, Consul General of Canada in Los Angeles, we hope you and your team continue to stay safe. Thank you so much for taking the time to speak with us.